I think everyone should find that genuine purpose that they have, whether it is to do better for the greater good, just to make sure the world is tilted in a better direction, which I think is like fundamentally the most important thing that we should be looking at in terms of ideas on our life and how we should make things proper. Hey yo, all you homies and homilias. Today what I want to talk about is being humble, and being humbled by our surroundings, being humbled by our world, not just stuck in our own little world of what we think is everything. Just to give a firm understanding of how small we truly are on this big floating rock. I mean, holy bumbling Christ, right? Let's get nerdy for a second, okay? Before we dive in on what it means to be humbled and what it means to be kind to one another and all that jazz. The universe was created 10 to 15 billion years ago. Let's say 12.8 billion, 13.8 billion, I think it was. Like the dinosaurs roamed the earth for like 300 million years. Human beings, I don't know if you're aware of this, but human beings have only been around for 200,000 years. 200,000 years. That's freaking nothing. That's fucking zero, zilch, nada, nothing. It's like blinking, right? It's like your lifetime is like a blink in the aspect of everything else around you that's going on. I'm not saying this just to make everybody depressed and miserable over the fact that, oh my God, life doesn't matter. I think everyone should find that genuine purpose that they have, whether it is to do better for the greater good, just to make sure the world is tilted in a better direction, which I think is like fundamentally the most important thing that we should be looking at in terms of ideas on our life and how we should make things proper. 200,000 years, okay? Now, we've only had the understanding of modern day civilization come to the forefront in the 1800s, right? What is it, the mid to late 1800s? We had the Industrial Revolution, where we had everything kind of becoming what it is today when it comes to business and when it comes to how the world has grown with all the inventions and the different technology that's available. Past that, I mean, general electricity has like been around. Things like electricity, flight like through planes and helicopters, even driving, where you're not in the fucking horse-drawn carriage. Things of that nature have originated from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. That's literally just over 100 years ago, right? That just to put into perspective what it is and how far we have come in such a short time, but also to showcase just how small we really are in this frame of time. Our sun is our star, right? The star in our galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy, like the chocolate bar, but upstairs, you know what I mean? Our Milky Way. They say that if you were to put the sun in a category of like what age it might be, it's still in a toddler stage, between the ages of like say 3 or 4 years old in terms of the general evolution of everything in the universe, which is absolutely insane, which means that the sun is going to grow bigger and bigger, hotter and brighter, yada, yada, yada. The sun is expected in the next billion to 2 billion years. I know it's a long time away. I get it why people are saying, oh, I don't care. But regardless of that, in terms of the time frame, our sun is going to get a lot bigger, it's going to get a lot brighter, it's going to get a lot hotter, and in terms of that, we won't be able to survive on this planet we call Earth. Yes, it's round, motherfuckers. Get out of here with your fucking flat dick, flat Earth goddamn theories. That's a funny thing about theories too, is like every time someone has a theory like that, they like to dance around the evidence that goes against them rather than present more evidence to overthrow, what the main proposition is of the Earth being round in the first place, right? All this scientific backing behind the Earth being round, in order to combat with that, you have to be coming from the defensive end and present enough evidence to put that in question in the first place. So the given fact is it's not even close. It's absolutely lopsided. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Anyhow, we're a small speck, We draw the line in the sand, but we are that sand. We are the grain of the sand. We are the little grains. In fact, we are even less than that if you think of the perspective of the different galaxies out there. Did you know that there are more planets in the freaking whole entire universe than there are grains of sand on Earth? Just let that sink in. Think about that for a moment. How insane is that? That's actually fucking crazy, right? Wild, crazy, like my goddamn skull, my cranium, going nuts right now. But that's just insane. That's like it baffles me. It boggles my mind. I don't understand why more people don't put their finger on this and just like try to let that resonate within them and be like, yo, like we are this tiny in this whole fucking spectrum of what it is to be alive in the universe. I mean, the odds I've read are 400 trillion to 1 in terms of being a human being and being alive. Like that, in general, that's crazy, let alone, not being born into poverty, or, having the freedoms that we do have, or being born into the right time frame, the right generation, and a day and age where we have all the things that we do. We have the inventions and the technology that's going insane. Really insane, to the point where we're not going to be able to control this AI if we don't have a way to regulate it. But I'll get more on that in terms of the AI in another video. However, to put it into perspective, like we have our own family, our own world, our own group of friends, everything like that. We go to school here, such and such. We have this job. Everyone's got their own career and everything like that. But we got to take that from an outside perspective, right? We got to look at things externally as well as internally and understand the bigger overall principle and picture of what's happening here. Once we understand this, I think we can better manifest ourselves as greater human beings and be a lot kinder to one another and a lot more humbled in the fact that, we only live this life once, arguably. And it's very important for us to discuss these topics and going over with a fine-tooth comb, just so people have this greater idea of like, oh my God, wait, my life and my world is important, but it's not as important, and I'm not as entitled as I should be to the things that I have, because, one day that can all be gone for good, and it will be, you know what I mean? It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be, 50 years from now. But the point of the matter I'm trying to make is that in understanding how small we truly are in a universe so big, we can think about things from an outside point of view a lot better, and we can have a better understanding of where other people are coming from, and in respecting different cultures and those that are around us, and being open to the idea of anything is possible. And like literally, with the foundation of science and relativity, like everyone thought that time and everything was linear until Einstein came up with his theory, and now we've got that whole relativity idea, which has only existed for over a century. So like this is all brand new. This is nothing to wash over and just like forget about. Like this is something that's very, very fundamentally important in the whole aspect of living in life. So you've got your family, right? You got your good friends and everything like that in a group, right? So you separate yourself from that, right? So you got your family and everything. You got your own zone, right? Let's say you live like north side, south side of the city. You got that whole little pack, group of people on the north side. Then you've got your city. You got Edmonton, Alberta. Let's say, for example, right? That's where I'm from. You got Edmonton, Alberta. Look, in the outside point of view from that, you got, Edmonton, Alberta, including like Spruce Grove, St. Albert, Sherwood Park, Stony Plain, Leduc, all those different areas, right? The greater Edmonton area. Looking further from that, province, right? Alberta, right? We got 3.5 to 4 million people, I think, here. Go to Canada, that's another 35 million, okay? Looking at the bigger picture. North America, right? One of seven continents. Looking at the bigger picture, we got the whole globe. We got the whole globe that's going on here, right? This whole globe is just floating, right? It's like floating and spinning and fucking has all these dynamics with the axis and whatnot going around the sun. We got a little moon out there that's roughly 380,000 miles away, maybe 600. I'm just kind of spitfiring here with everything, so forgive me. All these different metrics and different measurements and levels to understand, just to see like how life is and like where it is that we stand. And like we don't even know where we stand, but I do know that where we stand is somewhere in a smaller spot than it is for the greater spectrum of the universe, right? Like 2020 is known as like the year of the pandemic and year of tragic things happening and all kinds of crazy things, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty insane. But the one thing that a lot of people have looked over, for example, is that they're so wrapped up in the politics of everything going on and what's going on in their world that, the military, the U.S. military has declassified UFOs. Like UFOs are basically real. Like that is one of those whole conspiracy theories that's a very good example of something that has presented so much information to the point that's leaning towards there actually being UFOs and actually being more life out there than there is evidence to say otherwise. I mean, given the fact that we've discovered currently about 2,200 habitable other planets outside of our solar system is absolutely phenomenal, right? All those exoplanets that you never know that what they might have, right? Keep in mind too, like even if you do have a telescope and you got one of the most powerful telescopes and everything like that, and you do see these other galaxies and other planets and stuff like that, when you're seeing it from like a very long time ago, like hundreds of thousands of years ago, such and such, because that's just the way the relativity is with the time and space. But they've literally said that, like, okay, there's shit in the sky, fucking floating around and stuff, going all crazy, and we actually don't know what it is. literally what it stands for, right? It's not some hokey pokey UFO. It's like literally unidentified flying object, right? They've declassified it. We've had now 3 presidents get asked the direct question, which I will follow up this with another video. I'll maybe do a react video on that. We've had 3 presidents now get that question asking about UFOs and aliens and if they're real and if we've contacted them, etc., etc. All 3 of them couldn't answer yes or no, right? They couldn't deny it and they couldn't confirm it, which obviously gives more proof to the whole thing going on with the Area 51 Bob Lazar thing. I implore you to read up on that if you haven't looked into that a great deal. But a lot of things that he said has come out and come to be proven correct, like especially with the Navy and the U.S. military finding a whole bunch of getting a whole bunch of video proof of things that are going on there. Like, this ties in with the whole spectrum of like how small we truly are, because of the fact that, you know, there are other things going on, right? There are things bigger than us, things coming from places like where, you know, essentially there are humanoids or different creatures and stuff like that that have a vaster intelligence than we do. I mean, again, like, think about when things have arrived with how late we got electricity and stuff like that. This was like yesterday, barely even yesterday, and like we're just waking up today, right? And there are other civilizations as well that have come and lived on this earth that have failed and all been eradicated, have disappeared entirely. And that's another thing we want to do and try to avoid. And this whole sense of entitlement and feeling like we are something special compared to everything else, and especially on this earth that we share with a whole bunch of other living creatures. I think it's just important to look at it from a bird's eye perspective, bird's eye view, and just take a bigger scale look and say, hey, you know, we're all one with this. And there's a lot more things out there that we don't know about. The fact that we are actually so small on this greater ideal, this greater spectrum, in terms of like the universe, you know, and of course you got the solar system branching out from what I was saying earlier, going out to, you know, our galaxy, and going out from there to the universe, which is comprised of so many galaxies. It's just ridiculous. I'm pretty sure our closest galaxy is Andromeda, which is like, oh my God, how close is that? 2.5 billion light years away, or I don't know. I don't have. I'm just kind of spitfiring here. I was reading it and looking all this up many times over, but they're saying also, like, regardless of the sun heating up, that Andromeda galaxy is going to crash into the Milky Way galaxy, creating an entirely catastrophic event in the next 2 billion years as well. So just even greater purpose and reason for us to be grateful for what we have, to be thankful for the time we're given on this planet, and to adhere to the inventions and the things we can explore and be happy about and laugh about and create good moments over right here and now. Like, stay in the now, right? This is the whole thing that I preach when I talk about staying in the moment. I just think it's so important, and I see so many other people living through that philosophy that's working greatly for their lives and reducing any depression or anything like that. So in staying humble and in understanding these other ideas, I think it even leads to the point of us becoming grounded in the understanding that, hey, like, things are a lot greater than they seem, and there are so many things that we don't understand, and so many things that we will never understand, right? You know, and just that the fact that, like, a meteor can come out of nowhere, and, like, even if it came from behind the sun, we'd have like less than 3 days to understand this, could possibly come out of nowhere and like obliterate our planet. Like, the likelihood is like not likely in terms of statistics and mathematics and all that, but it's very, very possible, right? And it only takes one to screw all that up, right? And if our civilization's gone, then we just lead way to another civilization before we can even be an interplanetary species, or even check anything out further than what we know already. Like, goddamn electricity we haven't had for very long, you know what I mean? Light bulb, man. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely wild. But like, this is here we are, and this is where we stand. So let's just take a deep breath, right? Let's ease it on out. Like, just ease up on all the tension that we might have in our lives, right? All the stress that's going on, right? Of course, you want to care about the ones you love and focus on mending all the negative ends that are frayed in your life, and to pick up the pieces and make things work, right? But it's just even greater reason to just make sure that we're pushing in the right direction, right? To make amends with those who are willing to make amends back with you over stupid situations, over anything that's going to harbor any hate or regret or shame or trauma or guilt, anything that's going to create that trauma for you. It's just about ridding of that, right, as best as you can, and just creating a little bit more fulfillment for yourself, and understanding, like, hey, like, things may not be as bad as they seem, you know, like there are a lot of fucking horrible things that happen, but for every horrible thing, you got to give credit for all the good things that happen to you too, right? So there's a give and there's a take. Some people have more of the give, some people have more of the take, but let's internalize that and find a better balance so we can better understand things. And maybe we'll come out of the other side on top, you know? We'll look at things from a greater point of view and then make the most of what this life is that we're living. Let's be in tune with that. Let's be in tune with ourselves, but let's be in tune with our surroundings and the outer worlds and understand that, hey, all of this stuff that's happening, going on, is just some sort of freaking magical catastrophe of like crazy elements and chemicals and chaos and darkness and light and all these things that kind of just come together and come to fruition to like, for us to like be what we are and to exist the way that we exist and to not take things for granted and just to be a little bit more humbled by it, right? Show some kindness, show some respect. Like the more and more we do that, the more and more other people will have a healthier life. You know, you'll have a healthier connection with them. You'll have a healthier connection with yourself. That's just such an important principle. And I think the more and more we go along with that and we follow that sort of love and that sort of respect that we give ourselves and one another, I think that more people will see it from the bigger picture, and hopefully eventually we'll get off our asses and try to fucking do something about this and fix the state of how things are in terms of globally and in terms of understanding on a mental capacity, like on a higher level, on how we can make things better and how we can live our lives better, right? We don't want to sit here in misery for the remaining years of our lives. We want to try and be a little bit more fulfilled and find that happiness from within and that outer happiness too. And I think this is why people experiment with psychedelics and other drugs, because of the fact that, you know, and again, I have another video about this. People experiment with those things because it brings everything full circle and it further lets them understand on a level that opens up all your perception to everything, you know. But irregardless of all those drugs and psychedelics and whatnot, I mean, it's just better to have a genuine fundamental understanding of how small we are through the lens of the world and the universe, and to literally learn about that stuff, learn about space and learn about the exploration and the limits of our knowledge today, learn about tech and learn about the way that it's going, learn about where we were 200 years ago compared to where we are now and where we might be 200 years from now, right? It's very important to actually take that step and educate yourself, right? They say that the smartest kind of people, right? The purest and best form of knowledge to have is empathy, right? Empathy is the best way to be. Empathy is sort of what I see as like the best way in cultivating your knowledge to a level where you're like, okay, like, if I'm empathetic to all of these situations, I'm opening my mind and I'm not closing doors and avenues to different things and different understandings that I could learn and utilize and have them be useful for me tomorrow. So be kind to one another. Let's be humble on this damn floating rock that's spinning around like some goddamn tennis ball off a tennis racket that's stuck in some sort of tornado-ish vortex. And let's just create a better world for ourselves and try to see the bigger picture. Maybe we'll become a lot greater to one another if we can at first have that understanding and knowledge, and then in turn being greater to ourselves. So with that said, I hope you stay real, and I will gladly stay caveman.